this is my review of Sonic X. Okay, so this episode, Unfair Ball, is interesting because instead of it being a fight between Sonic and some of Eggman's robots, it's actually them playing a ball game, which is interesting. So Tails is flying along in the Tornado X, and eventually the Chaos Emerald that he has installed in the plane starts going off, and he starts losing control of the plane. And he almost crashes into a Diamond Stadium, not the Diamond Stadium, but a similar stadium named Diamond Stadium, which is it's a different stadium than the Diamond Stadium. It's not actually Diamond Stadium, but it's a stadium named Diamond Stadium for a different reason. But Tails almost crashes into Diamond Stadium and decides to park the plane and check out what exactly caused the Chaos Emerald to go haywire. And sure enough, we meet Albert Butler, who is in fact the groundskeeper of Diamond Stadium. And after initially being a little frightened of Tails for obvious reasons, the two eventually hit it off and become best buds. And Albert actually explains the history of Diamond Stadium to him, how it's actually named after Station Square's resident baseball team, the Diamonds, and that he is in fact the groundskeeper there, but he feels like it'll be the last time he actually takes care of the field anyway, because as he points out to Tails, his close friend and owner of the Diamonds, Elmer Johnson, is actually planning to move the Diamonds to a new stadium, and that he won't be needed because it's going to be regular turf and not actual, ground for him to actually keep. So he's going to presumably be let go once they decommission the Diamond Stadium and close it down for good. At which point Tails points out that the main reason he came there was because he figured out that there was actually a Chaos Emerald in Diamond Stadium, and asked if Albert had seen it. And sure enough, Albert pulls it out of his pocket, pointing out that he found it a couple of days ago in the trash and was curious as to what it was. And because the two Chaos Emeralds become within immediate close proximity of one another, they actually set off a giant beacon that float shoots up into the sky and attracts everybody in the immediate area to it, including Knuckles, who winds up joining the group for the aforementioned game of baseball, and also Dr. Eggman, who has sees that this is actually a thing and dusts off his old baseball clothes, which he for some reason has, and apparently plays baseball. So Dr. Eggman travels to the stadium while also telling Sonic about what's going on as he and Chris and his family are eating dinner, and they point out that they're actually going to be doing a baseball game at Diamond Stadium to compete for the two Chaos Emeralds. So Sonic and Chris and his family, and having all seen this, all pile into the car with the exception of Sonic, who runs the entire way, and head off to Diamond Stadium to go participate in a ball game against Dr. Eggman for the sake of one of the Chaos Emeralds, the Cyan one. And Dr. Eggman shows up a little bit early and prematurely takes the Cyan Chaos Emerald from Albert, and tries to take it take the green one from Tails as well, because he believes Sonic no-showed. He doesn't realize that he's just early, so he tries to take the Chaos Emeralds away from Albert and Tails. He succeeds in getting the Cyan one, but around that point Knuckles shows up and stops him before he can take the other one. At which point Sonic and his friends, as well as Chris and his family, show up and actually come to participate in a game of ball. Much to Tails' chagrin, as he points out, it's very important to Albert, and he realizes that Albert might be upset if they mess up his ball field. But Albert says he doesn't really care, as it's going to be shut down either way, so why should Tails defend the field on his behalf if it's just going to be shut down anyway? And sure enough, everybody gears up to go play baseball after Albert says this. It turns out Chuck is an old fan of baseball from way back when, and actually knows Albert from TV, and gets a little emotional because he never thought he would ever be playing a ball game in Diamond Stadium. Meanwhile, meanwhile, Dr. Eggman pulls out a bunch of robots, which are in fact robotic baseball players. I go over what they look like, but I think everybody knows what a baseball player looks like, so just imagine that as a robot. But in any case, Dr. Eggman has a team of robots, which cheat as you would expect, and Sonic and his friends have a couple of superpowered friends on his side, which also cheat. So yeah, Sonic's team cheats by using cheap tactics. Eggman's team cheats by also using cheap tactics. So it winds up being a tied game, even though they cheat. Eventually, it gets the attention of the news outlets, who actually point out that it's quite the historic game, as it's a fight between Sonic and Dr. Eggman, but not in the traditional sense. And sure enough, as the game goes on, they slowly gather a following as more and more people assemble in the stands to watch this historic baseball game between Sonic and Dr. Eggman. And throughout this sequence, they slowly find out that Sonic is in fact a good guy. So now it's kind of out in the notice that Sonic is in fact a good guy, or at the very least isn't a threat as people have made him out to be. So yeah, they eventually do tie the game and win, but then Dr. Eggman just throws out a one last ditch effort in an effort to get them to forfeit the game by having one of the robots' heads attach itself to Sonic, and then feigns that it's out of control and is going to blow up if they don't do something. And through a combined effort of Sonic and Knuckles, are able to actually destroy the robot's head and free Sonic from it, because Sonic isn't able to shake it off on his own, so Knuckles has to help him. At which point Dr. Eggman leaves, having accepted the fact that he lost, and but points out that since he already has a Chaos Emerald anyway, he might as well take the one he has rather than taking both. So it's kind of a net loss for Sonic and his team. So he takes the Cyan Chaos Emerald. So now Eggman has a Chaos Emerald, and Sonic and his friends have a Chaos Emerald. So now they're tied up. They each have a Chaos Emerald, and there are now 5 to go. So it's going to be interesting how they proceed going forward. And it begs the question, what other weird shenanigans are they going to need to pull to get the other Chaos Emeralds? I mean, the first one, they just kind of stole it out of Eggman's hand, and Chris kind of almost fell to his death. And this time it was a ball game, so who knows? How are the rest of the Chaos Emeralds going to be introduced in the story? Probably in some really weird ways, I'm betting, because I don't really remember this series all that much, so I would have no idea. But in any case, that was my review of Sonic X. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, so it's my way of saying thanks. And so be sure to check this out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!